Hi everyone, this is Marie Ollie with Just Gorgeous TV. Today I have me a special guest all the way from Oakland, California, and his name is Derrick Soo. As you all may know that he was recently aired on NBC Bay Area in regards to his journey. Now, I'm not sure what you can call it. However, Derrick Soo has an amazing story. Now, of course, many of you may say, well, he came from riches to being homeless. Well, let's find out why. Derrick, welcome to Just Gorgeous TV. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you so much. It is a pleasure and an honor because your story, it's one of those things, it's literally from probably rags to riches, but never the other way around. However, we know in this life things happen, and we are definitely interested in wanting to know about your journey. And right now, you are coming live from Oakland on the streets. Am I correct?
That's correct. I am at my camp here in East Oakland, and you'll occasionally hear the BART train running by in the background. I am that close to BART.
Wow. Okay. Now, Derrick, I knew your story. You were a former owner of Derrick Soo Construction Company. And of course, you have been documenting your journey now from the street for 42 days. And right now, let me see here. You have been in, and please correct me if I'm wrong, have you been up there since 2014?
Yes, March of 2014.
Now, tell us and the audience, of course, what happened and what happened to the company?
Well, what happened back in 2005, I was actually driving between my job sites, and I had a heart attack while behind the wheel of my vehicle. My vehicle continued down the road. I actually was unconscious, and my cruise control was on my vehicle, so it just continued down the road. Fortunately, where I was, it was just a straight shot, and I didn't have to steer anything. But then when I came back around, it was about 3 miles down the road. And when I realized what had happened and my condition, I went straight to the hospital from there. And I spent 3 days in the hospital recovering from that heart attack. Doctors, upon release, told me, you got to find something else. Whatever you're doing, the work you're doing is too stressful. That's what caused this. And if I didn't stop what I was doing, I was certainly not going to survive the next one.
Wow. Now, how long have you owned and ran Derrick Soo Construction Company for?
Well, I originally opened the company back in 1989. I just left the East Bay Mud, which is a water utility district company out here in Oakland in Alameda County. So I worked for them for 4 years. I did like the work conditions, started my own construction company. I started out just remodeling homes like everybody did. But as everybody here in the Bay Area knows, 1989 was a very special year. Loma Prieta earthquake. A lot of homes were damaged. And so there was a huge shortage of contractors all over the Bay Area. And then in 1991, again, we had another disaster, the Oakland Hills fire. That took out every last contractor in the entire Bay Area. So there was nobody to work in the commercial and industrial arena. And that's where I have to be doing a job for a big name person, a CEO. And since he couldn't find a contractor to do the work for his new company that he was building, he offered me that contract. So that's where I got my start, 1989, with this one CEO. And from there, everything just blossomed. My company, I took it to a different level rather than being with all the other contractors who were doing rebuilding homes and fixing homes. I elected to go into industrial construction.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and then with in industrial, that because of some of the high-tech companies that I worked for, that also coincided with the United States Department of Defense. So I got defense contracts to work on for the government. Along with that, I also worked in aerospace. Aerospace, one of the things that we all know, aerospace, the shuttle, space shuttle. So there were a lot of projects that I did for the space, for NASA, and also experiments for scientific experiments that would be done up on the space shuttle in outer space. So a lot of different things. I was a very specialized contractor, made lots of money very quickly during that expansion time in Silicon Valley.
Wow. Wow. Now, in the midst of time, now this was 1989, company started booming. Like you said, it started blossoming. And then, of course, it seemed like what happened was when you got sick is when everything went downhill. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, that would be and that wasn't the part that really got serious. The part that got serious was I was diagnosed with a form of cancer at that time. It wasn't real serious at that point, but it was something that I had to watch. And it reoccurred again, and it really flared up this time and became a serious issue in 2015. While I was out here homeless, I actually was diagnosed with colon and rectal cancer. And that colon and rectal cancer was what killed my father back in 2011. So we have a family history of colon rectal cancer. So I actually was out here on the streets going to my treatments. And that's what really did me in. And the one of the things about cancer treatment that really doesn't get talked about are the long-term side effects from chemo. Chemo is the absolute worst thing, but it's necessary to take care of the cancer cells and destroy those. But along with destroying those cells, it destroys good cells.
Yes. Yes. Wow. You know, this is definitely a journey and it's a story that must be told. Now, with the company, before it went down, any employees? I mean, were you married? Any children in your life? Tell us a little bit about you, Derrick.
Well, I was married at the time. I had just recently married my second wife. She had a child from the previous marriage, so we literally formed our own family. So it was myself, my wife, and my stepson. That was our family. I didn't have any children of my own. My second wife couldn't have any more children, so that's why I don't have any more children, or just the stepson, and that's it.
Okay. And then now, in the midst of things, are you still currently married, or what happened to the marriage?
Unfortunately, I cheated on my wife, and that's what caused the divorce. Back in 2008 was the finalization of the divorce, but we had already had started the discussions and separated back in 2007. But it actually we were living in the same house, but we were separate in 2006. But it just snowballed there. My cheating ended up with the divorce, and then along with me at the same time having to close my business. That really was a devastating blow. I ended up having to sell that Grand Lake home through divorce. I had just purchased a lakefront home back in North Carolina on a beautiful lake. Lost that one, and when I say lost it, it was actually foreclosed on, because what had happened, as we all know, 2006 started the economic downturn.
Yes.
And with that economic downturn, I was really affected in 2007. And I literally had retired in 2007. Everything was closed. I purchased my home back east in North Carolina, and I was moving out there. I was retiring to that home. And with that, the financial institution that oversaw all of my investments, took care of my money, in that economic downturn, they filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
I lost all my income, all my retirement, everything was gone.
I was about to ask you, given that, your company blossomed in an amazing time. And during that time, there was a cash flow in the Bay Area and many, many potential in growth, especially that you went to the industrial side. And I was about to ask what happened to the retirement. Did you not save for, the rainy days or whatnot? But I guess that all makes sense that the company or the financial institution that took care of your assets and the real estates filed bankruptcy.
Correct. And in that bankruptcy filing, there was nothing that I could do. Literally, I couldn't afford an attorney anymore. The cash that I had was what I had in my pocket at that time. That was
Wow.
all my what I had in my bank account. That was it. That was all. I had no more income.
Wow. So besides the health, you made a mistake, caused your marriage, company closed because of your health, and then the financial institution that took care of everything filed bankruptcy, and literally everything that you had in your pocket or what was left in the bank account. It's like literally leaving home with just the shirt on your back.
Literally, yes.
Wow.
I was almost homeless at that time. My father was still alive. I had come back here to California on a trip during the winter, talked with my dad. My dad said, get rid of everything, don't worry, move back in with me, and it's all good. So that's what I did. I literally packed up everything. My house is in foreclosure, so there was nothing more for me to do other than hand the bank back the keys. And that's what I did, and left the state and came back here.
And you left North Carolina what year?
In 2009.
Okay.
Actually, 2008. It was October of 2008, the day before Halloween is when I left.
And so approximately almost about 10 years of the company being in business, correct?
I was in business for over 20 years.
Over 20. Wow. Okay. And so then you moved here from North Carolina, moved in with Dad. Divorce was already going through, it was already finalized. It finalized in 2008. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then Dad was also diagnosed with cancer while you were living with him. And what year did Dad?
My father passed away in August of 2011. And with his passing, before that, I should say, when he was diagnosed, he had a stroke during the time that I was in his home. He had a stroke. We got him to the hospital. It was there that the doctors the next morning let me know that my dad actually had cancer, because my dad hid it from myself, from me and my sister, all of us. We didn't know he was diagnosed with cancer and he was dying. We didn't know that. And we only got that news after he had the stroke. And from the hospital, they put him into assisted living under hospice care. And he held out for about a year and a half before he finally succumbed to his cancer. And during that time, even though he had a really good retirement, he was making $2,400 a month as a retired civil service employee from the shipyards.
Wow.
And that $2,400 did not cover the cost of his assisted living. Assisted living was $3,800 a month.
Wow. So he was running a deficit and he was already in the red while he was in there. So
Correct.
now you were living with Dad. Now, did Dad own the home? What happened to Dad's house?
Yes, my dad owned the home free and clear. There's no money owed on it. It wasn't in very good shape, but it was still paid for, and it did have value. What ended up happening was that after his passing, he didn't have a will, he didn't have a trust, which I encourage everybody, get a will, get a trust in place, especially for your parents. Then you won't have to go through the nightmare that I had in probate. And
I was about to say it went into probate.
Yeah, so it went into probate. It was in probate for nearly 2 years. And the court decided to take the home and sell the home to pay off his medical debts. So that left me homeless. I did have some money at the time because I had just finished working and doing some work for the U.S. Census Bureau. So I was making a little bit of money there. That was something that I could do. It was, I could work in the neighborhood of the home, so I just walked to homes close by, and I made money for about 4 months. And I took that money, I rented an apartment once I was evicted from that home. So I stayed in that apartment for a short time, and after that, I just flat ran out of money. And then I went into a homeless shelter, EOCP, East Oakland Community Project. It's one of the better shelters here in Oakland, and I was there for 3 months. I didn't enjoy my stay there. It wasn't pleasurable, and when you hear people talk about shelters, believe me, everything they say about shelters is true. It is a horrible experience.
Yes.
They tell you when to eat, they tell you when to smoke, they tell you when to go to bed, they tell you when to wake up, everything they dictate.
You know, it's amazing that you said that because, you know, the whole purpose of me being so interested in your story is because I have been working behind the scene. As I told you, you know, I've served the homeless in the Castro Valley, you know, there in the East Bay for 5 years through 3 Cross Church, and, you know, Cross Street Ministry kind of chokes me up every time because people run so many programs to give to shelters and to give, and I believe that those who really needs it are not obtaining or receiving all the support. And then of course, Derrick, you are in it, so you can definitely shed light on that, because like you said, it's literally the shelter are created and developed to help those who are in need during their season of time of struggles and hardships. But yet, and please correct me, and because it may sound harsh, it seems like a prison the way people are being treated at these homeless shelters. Am I correct?
Yes, you are absolutely. It's a terrible place to end. When these shelters were actually formed back in the day, it was a whole different clientele back then. A whole different clientele. You had the alcoholics, you had the addicts, you had the cons coming out of prison, you had people hiding from the law. So that was the old face of homelessness.
Yes.
And so nobody cared about it.
And the runaways.
and the runaways.
Yes.
But now the face is completely different. And you're seeing people with PhDs, doctors, lawyers, business people, former CEOs. I mean, we're talking people who were very successful at one time are now the base of homeless.
and people who were contributing to programs such as this with your taxes and whatnot.
Yes, because I certainly, as a business owner, I was paying, a lot of money. That's kind of the thing that I would tell people. The taxes that I was paying to Alameda County for the homeless issue, I supported 5 families of 4. That much money every year.
Wow. Now, Derrick, would it also be fair for me to say, given my assessment in serving the homeless in the last 5 years, I have since moved out of the Bay Area in the beginning of 2017, but is it a little bit more streamlined by the federal agencies or the state government agencies, or are the majority of these shelters nonprofit organization being ran for profit per se versus nonprofit? Who is reaping the rewards?
Well, I don't see the shelters as so to speak raping the system, but they are using the system. And the thing about shelters, in order to get a shelter bed, you have to go to social services, Alameda County Social Services, to get a voucher, and they will set up a bed at a local shelter for you. And all you have to do after that is show up. So I went through that process. They got me set up with EOCP, and the nice thing about EOCP, they do have a lot of services, tremendous amount of services. They also feed you there. So you get 3 meals a day. You got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They were served at a regular time. But the thing about the shelter, it is run like a prison, literally, because that's who they kind of cater to. And that's the mentality of the people that used to come in to the shelters, the criminal element, so to speak. And unfortunately, the shelters don't have any kind of security guards. Because when the fights break out, which they do, they break out there. They don't want to talk about it, but fights do break out. And when they do, they're really bad. Nobody breaks it up. Nobody.
Wow.
So it's a very dangerous place. And you'll have all the leaders of those shelters say, no, that doesn't happen. Believe me, it happens. Because it happened to me twice.
It's almost kind of like unmasking the behind the scenes of what takes place at the shelters that no one wants to talk about. And I am so blessed to know that you are documenting this journey. Like you said, you cannot talk about something that you have not walked or currently live in these circumstances. And it's amazing because you have come, one would think, well, he had a successful company, so he lost it, made a mistake within his marriage, went through a divorce, completely everything that was under his name foreclosed, the financial institution that took care of your assets and real estate, lost that, moved back to Oakland, California with Dad in 2011. Dad, departed from this world, and with cancer, you are diagnosed with colon and rectal cancer, as it seems like it's hereditary in the family. That's what happened to Dad. And then Dad's home, if it didn't get any worse, there was no will, no trust, and the real estate assets went into probate, where the government came in, took hold of it, sold it, and to pay off the majority of his medical bills. You said he was only in there for about a year.
A year and a half, yeah.
A year and a half. And it was $3,800. So the $1,400, and I'm just kind of thinking, back in that day, Oakland's real estate was still pretty, good. Shacks are being sold at almost $500,000 in the Bay Area.
Oh, it's amazing. Right now, today, just a few blocks from here, in one of the worst areas of East Oakland, you now have homes listing for $650,000.
Wow. And it's mind blowing to me, and I'm sure to the audience, because homelessness in the last 12 months has increased dramatically in the Bay Area, from San Francisco to the Oakland, the Santa Clara County, the Alameda County. It's tremendously increased. And I heard a rumor, and of course I've read it, and people that they were busing people from the Bay Area and bringing them out to the San Joaquin County, because Stockton, California, the homelessness is increasing dramatically. Numbers. We drive over that Highway 5 from 99, and you can barely see a space open from those who are underneath the bridge. Derrick, being in the circumstances that you are at right now, and of course, actually joined the Santa Clara County, hearing all the, the councilmen's women running, councilwomen, of course, the first thing they say, if you pick me, I would like to put together a program where there are going to be affordable housing, and then the low income housing. And there were homeless people that actually attended the meeting and said, you continue to say that you're going to create and develop a community for affordable housing, but none of us even gets the opportunity to be in these homes. Would that be the same circumstance out there in Oakland?
Yeah, it's actually worse than that, because we have developers coming in, buying up all of these older buildings, multifamily buildings. A good example, right downtown Oakland, Hotel California. It was a low-cost, affordable housing for the poor. Well, it got bought up. It got renovated. It is now market value rentals.
Wow.
So, units of low-cost, affordable housing disappeared in that one project. 500 people or 500 units that held at least 1 to 2 people each are now on the street because of that. So we have a lot of gentrification going on, and there's no stop. The city isn't doing anything about this, but this is what's taking all the low-cost housing away from people. They're taking that low-cost housing that we need and making it market rate housing for the new workers coming into Oakland, all the people that the city sees as tax dollars. But the people that they're hurting the most are us, the ones that have virtually no income, low income. We need assistance. They're taking all of that away. That's the real bad, dirty secret.
Wow. And Derrick, and I'm about to jump into a whole another segment of questions that I am sure it's probably still the reason why you continue, to thrive and strive. And because you have air in your lungs and you get to wake up every day, you continue to journal. Are you a believer?
Yes, I am. I've been a believer almost all my life. And even though I'm homeless, I have a way to get my religious service in, and I do it every week. And in fact, everybody here in the camp knows it. And I normally have company. So we all watch this service together on my TV.
That is awesome. So when you say a believer, of course, audience who are watching, Derrick is a Christian. You believe in Jesus Christ.
I do. I'm a Baptist by faith.
Hallelujah. That is awesome. And of course, this is, would you say that your faith in Jesus is what's gotten you through the horrible times and the tough times in your life?
Absolutely. That's what I always fall back to. Because in my quiet time, I go and I literally talk with Jesus, and I ask why. Why is this happening? Why is it me? Why can't it be somebody else? Sometimes I get a good answer, sometimes not such a good answer, but I always get an answer.
You know, I believe that it is an amazing, very, very real answer to a question given the circumstances, because those who are atheist and those who do not believe but believes in evolution would say, so how's your God working for you now? But what they do not understand is that we continue to be equipped and we continue to go through obstacles and adversities in life in order for us to persevere in circumstances like this, because when Jesus Christ was here on earth preaching, he preached to the poor. And because, of course, they're the ones that needed him the most, because the rich people didn't care about anything about him. So, you know, they were of the world. Now, which brings me back with what is happening in San Francisco, Alameda County, Santa Clara County, San Joaquin County with the homelessness. It almost seems to me, and that's the way it looks, it may not be on paper or not, that the cities, the local governments, the state and federal do not care about the people that they hurt, because it's all about profit.
It is. It's all profits. Out here, the city. Well, we'll take San Francisco for example. They say that they spend $258 million every year on the homeless, and while their numbers have slightly dropped, but not by much, they still have nearly 7,000 people every night sleeping on the streets.
Yes.
$258, but where is it going? It's
right.
Obviously going to help them.
It's like, who has it? Where is it? How is it that there's still more people out there? And it continues. The numbers of homelessness continues to increase by the day, by the month, and it's just not men and women, it's families, it's children who cannot afford these rental properties or home, let alone, you know, to even own a home. And I saw, I believe, was it San Jose Mercury News, and I saw that you shared it on your page as well, a San Jose State University professor who teaches lives in her car. And then I believe about a year ago, they did a study that $105,000, now this is a six-figure income in San Francisco, is considered low income. Wow, what is happening to our society, Derrick?
I don't see how society can be sustainable. Here in Oakland right now, today, if you make $80,000, you're low income. $80,000, you're low income.
Wow. Wow. That is just, I don't know if I should say amazing or absurd. You know, what is this world coming to? Now, of course, us who are Christians, and as you all know, Juzz Gorgeous TV, we are faith-based. We believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in the Trinitarian God. He is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And, you know, our purpose here at Juzz Gorgeous TV is to put out the truth about what is happening around us and what's taking place. And of course, with the New World Order, I'm sure you're very familiar with that, has been in place since President Kennedy was in the White House. And it's been, the seed has been planted since as early as in the 50s, or probably even earlier than that. And it's starting to bear fruit, and it's moving along. What do you think, or what are your thoughts on the depopulation idea that many are saying it's a conspiracy?
Oh, I don't know about it. I know for sure is that the dollars that the city is setting aside for homeless issues is not enough. They're not doing enough. The housing, they're allowing low-cost housing to be taken away, and they're not being replaced at all. They're not being replaced. So we're losing hundreds of low-cost housing units in the Bay Area every day. Every day we're losing hundreds.
Wow. Now, Derrick, you're a business owner and you ran a very successful, company. You got into the defense industry, which we both know, getting into the government and doing a bid and, writing up a bid is even difficult to get in with the clearance and whatnot. If you had to put together a business plan or even a proposal plan for the city, or say for the city of Oakland, and of course they say, well, it's not as easy as you make it seem or what you think, because there are red tapes that you have to go through. What type of plan would you put together for the Oakland mayor, for the city officials, or for the councilmen or women in your district that you're currently on right now?
What I would tell them, what they're doing right now, by doing these sweeps, as I call them, because that's what they are. They're sweeping the streets right now. From right now to the second week of November, they're sweeping homeless people from the streets to those camps at 7 o'clock. They drag people out of the tents and take all their stuff. It's the Oakland Police Department, along with the Sanitation Department, along with Waste Management. They take everything. So the homeless person that they're booting out can only grab an armful of items, really important personal items, and that's all they're allowed to take. Some of these homeless people actually work. They work a job, and city is taking their tools away from them, so they can't work anymore. Now it makes them even more dependent upon the city and the system, which is worse. I have so many stories of working people ending up like that. They had their car, they have their tools, they go to work every day, but for some reason, maybe because their registration was out of compliance, or they didn't have insurance on the car, police take that car. They get the person out of the car. They're allowed to grab some personal items, and the city confiscates everything else. They take that car.
Wow.
Take all that home, that shelter for that homeless person is no more.
Well, it just gets worse with the very little that they have to get themselves to work, because of course people out there would say, well, you're obviously homeless for a reason, but no one knows the story and no one understands the details. And and I'm glad that you brought that up, Derrick, that the homeless people out there do go to work. They just can't afford a home with the way it's not like the employers are paying the compensation to actually compensate for the living of Oakland or in the Bay Area alone.
If you're homeless, typically right now Oakland does have a living wage now. So the minimum wage is about $14 right now. But at $14 an hour, even if you work 2 jobs, you still can't afford to get into an apartment. In order to get into an apartment, you need to have $4,000, $5,000 of cash to get in.
Wow. Now, Derrick, I know that we're going to continue to do a segment because there's so much more to talk about. And I know that, we've got, a few more minutes left, or actually about 5 or 10 more minutes left. I just want you to tell my audience and the world what is happening on the streets on a daily basis, because of course you don't have security. There's no protection out there. And it's truly a blessing that you do have your iPad and your iPhone out there. Are you working right now? You know, what are some of the things that is happening out there that you experience on a day in, day out? I mean, the winter is coming. And we both know that this weather system is absolutely crazy. And winter times, it's about to be extremely cold out there.
Yeah, it's horrible. What I would tell the city people, they need a new plan. They need outside the box thinking. What we really need to do, no matter where you're at, in order to help the homeless, there has to be a centralized system. In whatever city it is, it needs to be centralized. The homeless people need to be brought to these locations, and at these locations are all the services. So all they have to do is literally just walk across a grassy field to get help. But right now, the way that it is, everybody's spread out, and the way that the suites work, when they come through and sweep that group, they're everywhere. They're in the wind, and the city can't find them anymore. So we have a circumstance that happened just 2 weeks ago. There were 4 encampments here 2 weeks ago in West Oakland, got torn down, and the city did it. They had a group working with all of these individuals trying to get them into housing and transitional housing. And Operation Dignity lost all those people because of those suites, and they're still trying to find some of them. And these are people that have some temporary shelter lined up for them now, but they can't find them. This is crazy the way the city and the counties are doing it. You need to have a central location. Here, I pointed out several locations that would work. So if a person is in a tent, they're in an RV, they're in a car, doesn't matter what they're in right now, this location can accommodate all of that. And then the buildings can be renovated to the services, the needs of those services and those individuals that are going to help the homeless. So now you've got a way to help the homeless in a centralized location. They don't have to worry about their stuff being stolen because they want to go to social services to get help. But that's the biggest problem here on the street, trying to get away from your camp. Because if you leave your camp, somebody's going to take it over. If
Right.
you don't take it over, they're going to take all your stuff.
Right. The battle is definitely real out there in the streets, not from one another, but the other homeless people, because what you got is someone else's gain. And if you don't form an alliance of trustworthy people, like you said, there are people out there that are homeless who are working, and it's a bit difficult for them to go to work, and they may return to whatever little that they have that's gone.
Right. But then it's not just the homeless stealing from the homeless. The worst ones are the vultures that come in, the scavengers. They'll come in when your back is turned.
Wow.
While you're and steal your stuff. And we got people that come in here with their trucks. They quietly steal the metal. There's the recyclable metals, cans, bottles. These items that the homeless spent a day, 2 days, 3 days gathering up to come up with $8 to $16 so that they have something to eat one day.
Wow.
And these people are stealing it from them. So these are the vultures. These are the ones that we really hate out here. And they're everywhere. And they come in all forms, all sizes, and you never know. Because they even come bearing gifts. They come bearing gifts. And they'll leave you food. And at the same time they're leaving you food, they're scoping out what you got.
Wow.
And if you got something good, believe me, they're going to come back in gangs and get it from you, or at least attempt to get it. Because the crime out here is off the hook. It's the way that a lot of people figure homeless, nobody cares about them. Who are they going to call? Are they going to call the police? No, they're not going to call the police because most of them don't have phones. So
Right.
we can do what we want. And extremely vulnerable. I'm not a victim because growing up, I had a lot of mixed martial arts training, and so that's my main. I will personally get out there and give them a reason not to come back.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you definitely need to, defend yourself, especially under these circumstances. And, it seems I'm just speechless. I'm speechless because, I've seen it, sat down with them, prayed with them and whatnot, and my kids and my husband and I, and Cross Street Ministries from the Three Cross Church out there in Castro Valley. We pick them up, from the Hayward, and they're out there in the Oakland streets, walking. But then we were told when we were doing our own personal walk in passing out food, that if we were caught, giving out food that are not nutritious or whatnot, that we could get in trouble. And, it's just so crazy, and how the government comes in and tries to regulate all that if you are with an organization, you can only give out certain types to those who are out in the street. And here's what I said: I really don't care what their regulations are. Take me to jail. I don't care. I'm going to feed people, and then they said, well, if you get somebody sick, because of the meal, whatnot, they can sue you. Wow. So really, really stops people. They're like afraid, well, I'm just trying to feed somebody. And then you're going to end up being sued or being in jail because you're trying to feed someone or trying to help, someone that is in need and whatnot. And it is just unimaginable. It's crazy of what's happening out there, the laws and the things that you can do or can't do within the legal system. And Derrick, are you currently working right now before we close up this session? Because I know we're going to come back. I know that everybody, because I want everybody to know to come and follow you. You open up your videos, you're documenting, you're journaling every day live on Facebook. Every day. He's on the 42nd day, his journey out of homelessness. Now, and people would say, okay, you've been out there for 2014. Are you working? What about the people that you networked with, or businesses, any job offers? What happened to the family? What happened to the friends? Did they all scatter? Did they try to help? Or what happened?
Well, first of all, let me say, I don't work. I do not have a job. I am just very, very good at money management. I get $895 a month from SSI, and that's for my mental disability. That is, I am diagnosed with severe depression, severe major depression, and PTSD. The PTSD was from witnessing two murders out here on the streets. I literally was only 50 feet away from these murders, and that's what triggered my PTSD, because it is not anything that anybody should see being killed out on the street. It is a horrible experience, and all I want to do is show people how hard it is out here. That it is a real harsh way of living. Nobody should ever live like this, ever, for any reason. Even if you're an addict or alcoholic, you shouldn't be living like this. Having to live on maybe an hour or two of sleep a night, because you have to stay awake, because that's when the criminals come out to rob you, beat you, or do whatever they're going to do. But you can't sleep at night. You can sleep during the day, but then sleeping during the day, you get roused by the police or Department of Public Works. So those people bother you. So out here, you're stressed all the time. Your mind is a mess out here. I go to a psychiatrist. I'm on medication, and it's been 4 years. 4 years I've been going to my psychiatrist and getting medications. So the medications, again, that's a whole another realm of of disturbance. Just say it nicely, because a lot of the medications that they put you on, you can't remember what you did the last hour. An hour ago, you can't remember that past hour. So it's things like that. Medications like that are extremely dangerous to be on out here, because you have to be aware of everything. You have to be situational aware of everything at all times, day and night. So you never get rest. You never get rest out here.
Wow. Now, Derrick, if, some of the audience or people, I mean, I'm sure you probably got, people reaching out to you since your story aired on NBC Bay Area about a week ago. What would you say for families who wants to, give and just share the very little that they have or whatever they got? What are some of the necessities that you would say that you or anyone out there in the streets would need?
Well, since the airing of the NBC story, it's been great. I get a lot of people offering money, offering food, offering clothing, all sorts of assistance. But the one thing, I do have family. I have been contacted by family on my father's side, which I lost touch with decades ago. They have now come back, and they actually want to take me off the street and help me. And I say, great. I love them for that, but I can't accept it, because that helps me, but it doesn't help my friends out here. I have a lot of friends and family out here who are homeless, and while I may be sheltered and in a better situation, my friends are still hurting, and my friends need help.
Wow.
I can get by because I'm well equipped to deal with this.
Wow.
But most of the people out here, the women and children, the families, they are not equipped for this, and they should never have to be equipped for this kind of lifestyle ever. Whenever I find a family or a woman with children, I refer them to a resource that is absolutely fantastic here locally, and I get them off the street.
So you're like a social worker, out there as not only an activist, a social worker, making sure that you get the women and children off the street and off to safety, because you have witnessed in the last 4 years of your life on the street, it's not where women and children should be. And I absolutely agree. And, that is such a blessing, and you are a blessing to all those people nearby. And, going back to the necessities, if anybody wanted to drop off necessities there for you, the friends, and those who are on that block, what would be the most required things that is absolutely highly needed?
Ooh, that's a hard one, because out here everything is needed. The most important is water. That is the most important. As everybody saw, my friend Sam Ham, he said, water is like gold. That's literally true. It is a commodity that can be sold and traded. Water.
Wow. Well, Derrick, we're about to wrap up our segment here on Just Gorgeous TV. I just want to give you, the last minute or two, just to let the world hear what it is in your plea, and how to overcome this. What is your plan, or whatever message that you want the officials, the people, and the nearby law officials, because people don't realize just because you were a CEO one day, you never know when your rainy season will hit your life. And this is how and what can happen to anyone, including myself.
Right. Because this can happen to anybody, literally. And we're seeing this live. We're looking at the hurricanes, Texas, Florida, Louisiana, the flooding. Well, think about all those people that are now homeless.
Right.
And it's going to be years for them to recover. Years. And they have help. And these are people that have insurance to help them through this bad time. Out here, we don't have that safety net. We rely on each other. We literally rely on each other. And everybody has a job out here on this block. Everybody does something to help our community, our block community. And so it's not like we're sitting around, we're just lazy. No, we're all working. We have things to do. In fact, two of my campmates here have jobs, so they're gone all day. I watch their stuff for them. But as far as city officials, in a city, you need to do better, because what you're doing now isn't working, and you should realize that right now it's not working. All this money they're throwing at this, we're not seeing any results. We're not seeing a reduction in homelessness. We're actually seeing numbers going up.
An increase, yes.
And the sweeps are happening right now, and it's not just Alameda County. It's everywhere. All the counties are doing that because
you know what, Derrick, you mentioned that earlier. I'm so sorry for interrupting. The sweeps, when they come around and they're removing personal items or whatnot, whatever they have, and the tools and the and the necessary things that they're holding on to even have the dignity, given that they're out in the street. Where are they just trashing things away? Is it true that they are busing people to other counties, or is that what the sweep is all about? Where are they taking that?
No, the sweeps is to get the homeless off the streets. They don't want to see them anymore because business owners are complaining about them, residents are complaining about the homeless. Everybody's complaining about the homeless, and the city thinks the way that they think. Out of sight, out of mind. We'll get them out of sight. And that's what they're doing at the cost of the homeless person. Those few possessions that they have means the world to them.
Wow.
It is their world.
Wow.
And by taking that away, you have now devastated that person mentally again. It's really awful what the sweeps do, and the mental anguish that these people go through, because once again, they've lost their homes, they lost all their possessions, they don't have something that is stable anymore. They're unstabilized. That was the purpose of Ken Houston's project when him and I started back in May to bring this to the attention of everybody. That was the intention, Operation Stabilize. So if you go back on my Facebook page, you'll see that beginning, and that's what started this. So everything that's going on in the Bay Area, all this fire in the media on the homeless, it was started with Ken Houston and myself.
Well, bless both of your hearts, and major shout out to Ken Houston for the work and being an activist and advocate out there, and major shout out to you, Derrick, for continuing to believing and keep moving. Although that you had the ticket, you got that golden ticket to get on out of there, but you chose not to take it because you want to take everybody with you. And of course, people will come to think, well, it's every man for themselves. In this case, being a Christian, absolutely not. It's either you take them all or no one goes. And, I pray that, God will continue to protect you all out there. And I am urging all the prayer warriors out there to keep Derrick and everybody in his community, because I saw that you guys keep your community very clean. So that way the officials don't bother you guys very much, which I know it's and understandable that it's hard to do at times, but you are serving and protecting your own out there. And may you all be blessed. And I know we're going to come back to a segment number 2, because I know people are already commenting on the NBC, story that was ran that I shared on Juzz Gorgeous TV. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, to follow Derrick Soo's journey check him out on Facebook. And yes, it is public, so you can go and request him. Of course, if it gets overwhelming, you can, you know, if he gets to the 5,000 followers, you can follow him because he posts everything publicly, so you can see all his documentary. And hopefully and prayfully that the city officials needs to come up with a solution instead of sweeping people out of sight, out of mind. That mentality is what's hurting not only our society, our community, and our economies, and that we all need to step up and stand up for humanity. You know, people are being treated like animals, and we need to remove that mindset. Money cannot buy or do all things. And of course, I can already hear my audience, but of course it does. Well, because I'm a Christian, you know, I put my trust and faith, and I live on a prayer in Jesus Christ. So with that being said, once again, everybody, go out there and visit Derrick. And if you want to go out there and donate some water and drop off waters, you know, please do so. Don't get it all crazy out there. We don't want to bring attention to the block to where the officials will come in and want to do a sweep. We don't want all that to get stolen. So please be discreet, you know, go out there and just help out your fellow man and women and children. And, you know, Derrick, thank you so much for joining Just Gorgeous TV, and thank you for sharing honestly of what has taken place. Because if you are just joining us, Derrick Soo was a former owner of his construction company, and he started working and taking on defense contracts, went into the industrial side. It started off in 1989, lost everything, okay, went through a divorce, made mistakes. I mean, these are things that each and every one of us all go through. Dad lost his life to cancer. And for those of you who are watching who missed what Derrick said before, if you own a home, you need and must required to, you know, to put together a will or a trust, because once it goes into probate, because guess what? It don't belong to you. And if there's debts that needs to be paid, the state will sell that home and pay those debts, which is exactly what happened here, and how Derrick literally ended up on the street. Besides his health, you know, his health. He's diagnosed with cancer, has PTSD, depression, and he had a heart attack. And I'm just trying to give you all a recap. So make sure you go back to the beginning of this live broadcast and check out the story. And if you want help, hit up Derrick Soo on Facebook. He will answer your questions or responds, and most of all, pray and pray and pray for them all to be protected. And Derrick, last few words before we go ahead and close out the segment.
If anybody wants to talk to me or contact me, you can go through Facebook Messenger. You can reach me on Facebook Messenger, and I'm always available. I may not get back to you, right away, but I will get back to you. And I've had conversations with people as late as 2 o'clock in the morning and as early as 5 in the morning. So I'm there. If you want to talk to me, chat with me, we can do it. I'm open. So bring it on.
Right. And most of all, everybody, make sure that you follow his Facebook Live journey, okay, every day, and share and share. The more that you share his story, the more attention that we can bring, so we can actually bring out a positive outcome, positive results, and positive solutions. With that being said, this is Marie with Just Gorgeous TV. And as you all know, we are a faith-based network. So if you have a story about life transformation, please do go ahead and submit it to marie@justgorgeous.com. Follow us on Facebook, Just Gorgeous TV, or subscribe to our channel on YouTube under Just Gorgeous. With that being said, once again, Derrick, God bless you. May you be kept safe, and everybody else and all your neighbors near you. And this, Marie with Just Gorgeous TV. Goodbye.